All right, welcome to another episode of American Hammers TV. This is another special interview episode that we have. For all those tuning in on Facebook, Periscope, or Twitch, please head on over to the YouTube channel and click the subscribe button. That would help us out a ton. We're growing at a rapid rate, but we definitely appreciate the subscription on YouTube. So please do that. Also, if you like the video, just give it a like. That would be awesome. And check out our website, AmericanHammers.net. We have tons of cool merch in there that help out supporters groups, West Ham supporters groups from all over the country. They get half the proceeds of those, like the Boston Hammers, or we even have Ghana Hammers in there, or Russian Hammers, etc. So anyone who's partnered with us in our shop, they get half the proceeds. So please buy something and you get something tangible. That's awesome too. So that said, please, if you're watching this obviously live, no matter what platform you're on, feel free to ask some questions. We will be pulling them up on the screen as well, and then let Matt give an answer. So right now I see that we got Neil from Australia watching the show. He says it's 4:45 in the morning. Wow, it's a little early to be up, Neil.
Maybe he never went to bed.
And maybe he did, yeah. All-nighter Neil, yeah, that'd be great.
Neil's pretty crazy, man. I don't know.
But our special guest today is Matt Jarvis, one of my favorite players, obviously one of Lee's favorite players as well at West Ham, because he's wearing the Matt Jarvis shirt right now.
I've got the Matt Jarvis shirt. I don't know if you can. I'll try to turn around and see the.
Yeah, there you go. So one of my favorite things that I was actually going through my Twitter, because I remember back in 2012, I think it was, that I actually I tweeted Matt. Obviously, he probably didn't see it, but back when he was with Wolves, I knew it was the off season, and there was rumors going around that he was going to be potentially linked with West Ham. And I said, please, Matt, please sign with West Ham, because I did follow him at Wolves a bit. Definitely one of my favorite wingers of all time. So that said, Matt, how you doing?
Yeah, thank you very much. Pleasure to be here. Thank you for the invite.
I appreciate that. So Lee, why don't you get us started with the questions, and then I'll start sifting through the comment questions.
Yeah. First of all, we're really pleased to have you with us here, Matt. Obviously, I hope you don't mind if we jump right into your time at West Ham. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Well, first thing I wanted to ask about was when you came in. You came in right after the club was promoted back to the Premier League. I had one season in the Championship, came back to the Premier League, and I'm just wondering, when you arrived, what was the attitude around the club? Was it optimism, like we're going to have a big season this season, or was it more we just hope to stay up? How do you think the players felt at that time?
Well, I came in obviously quite late into the start of the season, and I just sort of come into the meeting right at the end where Sam had obviously brought up everything, and he broke it all down into like 8 games part of the seasons. But the big aim for us was to finish 10th. We had everything was based on finishing 10th, points, goals. Like Sam was so sort of big into it, so it was like how many goals you need scored, how many wins that is, how many draws, how many corners, like goals from corners, blah blah blah. It went on and on, but he broke it down into 8 game seasons, and it was ultimately to finish 10th.
Interesting. Now,
which is what you did.
Which is what you did.
We did.
Okay.
Yeah. How do you? Now, let me ask you this, though, Matt. I mean, you were a world-class athlete, a Premier League footballer, England international. I think at one point too. I think you got a cap for England. How does it feel when the manager says, "I want you to finish 10th"? Is it? I mean, wouldn't you rather have him say, "I want you to finish top of the table, and we'll see how it goes"?
I think the thing is, you've got to be realistic. That was, it was the first season back into the Premier League after being in the Championship, and getting promoted was through the playoffs. It wasn't first or second.
Yeah.
So realistically, for the whole club, the aim always is to stay in the Premier League. That's where every player wants to play. It's where the management wants to be. That's where the club financially wants to be. So to just finish in the Premier League is the aim of the game. But for us, we wanted to do better than that, and finishing 10th. As you say, you could say you want to finish first, but realistically, it's not going to happen. So,
well, it's never happened in the history of West Ham.
It's never happened.
I genuinely felt that 10th, looking at it, thinking, well, that's quite a tough ask, really, after just coming back from the Championship. But we did it. So it was a good decision.
Yeah, Allardyce is renowned for his his, how do you put it, his structure, his planning, his meticulous planning. For matches.
Statistic, I think is
But so how are trainings like? Because we've had Jack Collison on the show before. We've asked him obviously, and but what was your opinion of an actual day of training with Big Sam and Neil McDonald and so on?
The way I can describe Sam is like he's a real old school manager, but he absolutely loves all of the new technology and the statistics and everything about. He used to love like the POMO, he used to call it. It was it was where like the best position to be in the box to score a goal. That was his thing. Like, so you have so many statistics about. If you're in the POMO, which is most likely it was at the far post, that's where all the goals get scored. So it was like everything was down to minor details on set pieces, corners, free kicks. Everything was drilled. But on a day-to-day training type thing, it was very much the old school thought process. I mean, he had a great team around him. That the warm-ups, the fitness. The coaches were great. Some of those drills and that into the training, but the rest of the actual training part was more Sam, a bit more old school.
How much time do you actually spend with the manager as opposed to various other coaches and trainers and so forth? Did you spend a lot of time with Sam one-on-one or in small groups?
Not really. He was predominantly worked more with the defensive unit. So especially like on a Thursday, he would basically take them for the majority of the session, and then we would all come together at the end where he would start to work on the shape for the weekend. So he would like be drilling the centre halves, the fullbacks, and the holding midfielder. Just basically getting the young lads or the youth team to be like firing balls in corners, set pieces, free kicks, normal play, just them against their back five, as it were. So it was he was more intense on the defensive side, and then we would work with Macca or Ian Henderson in the with the attackers, or Sheringham. To be fair, when he
Sheringham coming in, didn't he? Yeah. And we noticed a big difference in goals getting scored when Sheringham came on board. Yeah.
Teddy's what a guy, what a finisher. I mean, if you can't learn anything off him, then you're not really going to learn anything. He's won everything that you could want to win, and he was so cool, calm, collected when it comes to just being in front of goal. So he would just try and put that across you, put on some finishing drills, and practice makes permanent, as everyone says. So you've got to just keep on going. So it's one of them that you try and do it yourself, but when you've got someone like Sheringham sort of helping you've always going to improve.
What was the players' relationship with Allardyce? Was he a likable manager? He doesn't seem like one, but he seems like somebody you'd respect whether you like him or not. Was that kind of how it worked?
I have to say, like he was a player's manager, as in if you were one of his players like that you were playing every week, he was like really, he was really good to you. He loved the whole team bonding. Like Kevin Nolan was a fantastic captain, and he used to go and speak to him all the time about trying to make sure that lads are looked after. Sam used to, if you did everything for him on a Saturday, and then on a Monday and a Tuesday you were still sore from the game, he'd be no problem. Get yourself right. If you train Thursday or train Friday, then it's same team, same subs. It was like that with him. If you were in his team and you were playing well in the games, it didn't really matter too much during the week what went on, as long as you made sure that you put the performances on the weekend. Which worked in your favour if you were in the team, and it didn't if you weren't.
Yeah, and that's kind of that. I mean, you could see that when I look at your time at West Ham. Of course, I think you had a big injury that came later on in your time that really kept you out for a while. But yeah, you can see big blocks of like you're in the team, you're not in the team, you're in the team, you're not in the team, and I'm sure everybody was kind of like that to some extent, with maybe only a couple of exceptions.
Yeah, that's the thing. He was, if you were in the team and the team was doing well, then the team stayed the same. And then if you got out of the team, it was very hard to sort of bounce straight back into it if the team did well. That's the thing. And he didn't.
Right.
In the first few years, he didn't really change formation as much. So for me, it was great because the formation worked perfectly for me to be playing on the wide, and then with Andy up the top or whoever it was up the top, and then Kev just in behind. It worked perfect. Then after a couple of seasons, he then started changing the shape and played with a narrow sort of midfield and no wide men, which obviously for me,
it didn't leave a place for you.
Yeah, we have we got a few fan questions already popping up, which is really nice to see. But real first, you just talked about playing at the wide position, and you played on the left though a lot. And I know you probably answered this question a million times, but for those viewers of ours that may not have heard the answer, as a right-footed winger, why the left?
Yeah, well,
so much.
Well, it all sort of brings back from when I first got in the team when I was like 17 with Gillingham. The position that opened up, I was a right midfielder, but the position that opened up was left midfield, and I got my chance at left midfield, and I sort of stuck and stayed there, and I played the whole time on the left. So I had to then improve my left foot, but I could always cut back and use my right foot if I wanted, or cut inside and take a shot. And then I did sort of 3.5 seasons in the first team at Gillingham on the left, went to Wolves, played my whole career there on the left. And I preferred, that was my favourite spot. I know loads of people, when I was at West Ham, they all kept saying, why are you not playing on the right? I much preferred playing on the left because I could go down the line and put a cross in with my left. And if that was blocked, I could always cut back in and use my right. The defenders didn't quite know what I was going to do because I could go down the line or I could cut back onto my right. Whereas if you're on the right, it's predominantly that you're going to go down the line.
Yeah.
So you can always keep people guessing if you're on the left. And also, just to add to that, when I'm on the left and I'm using my right foot to dribble with the ball, if I push the ball down the line with my right, that's already my first stride. Whereas if you're on the right, you shift the ball with your right foot. You've then got to then move your left foot first. Yeah. And so I'm already a stride in front on the left. So which helped me out numerous times to get the ball in.
I never thought about that. Yeah.
So some technical stuff for you.
I appreciate that.
No, listen, my 9-year-old plays on the wing for his team, or would if the team were playing right now. So I'm gonna take some tips from you. And
when we've had good luck with this actually, because when we had Ian Bishop on, he gave us a technical masterclass too. It was supposed to be just a quick little fun, a little interview type of deal, and he ended up turning into a master class of it was fantastic. But anyway, Thomas Longer, an Irish Tommy, one of our contributors here, asks, so how did the move come about to West Ham from Wolves?
Obviously Wolves, my time at Wolves, which I absolutely loved. It was a fantastic time for me personally and for the club. Unfortunately, we got relegated that season, and in the last 13 games, I think I scored 8 goals. Yeah. And I just felt that I had earned the right or the respect to go back and continue to play in the top league because I thought I'd done well. So then it come about that in the summer I was sort of looking to move back to the Premier League. Obviously West Ham was one of the targets that had already expressed interest in me. But it was one of them you had to wait for the playoffs because
right, of course, that's right.
We're interested and sort of speaking to Wolves, but it was one of them that for me, I'm a Surrey lad, so I could have moved back home near my family and travelled to West Ham. So I was sort of hoping and praying that West Ham would get promoted. And as soon as they got promoted, then the talk started to begin. And then it was just a matter of Wolves agreeing a fee with West Ham, really, which took a long time because obviously at the time
they valued you.
At Wolves was he was very, very good at his job, so he got a very good deal for Wolves and West Ham. It just come down to the last sort of knockings. They sort of basically turned around and said that's this is our last bid. If it's not accepted, then we're going to have to move on. And I was like, well, I need that. I run straight back in from the training and spoke to the manager and the chief exec and managed to get a deal sorted, and that was me.
Excellent. So speaking of, your first time there anyway. So Selly, our good contributor as well, he hosts some shows with us. He says, I don't know if you asked this or not, but basically, what did it feel like to play at Upton Park for the first time? And what match days felt like leading up to it? So basically, what did the match day feel like leading up to your debut at Upton Park?
Well, I mean, I'd played at Upton Park before at Wolves. I think it was the season before that, I think.
And that must have been scary. So
yeah, well, I don't want to bring that up. It was one of them that it was a massive game for both teams, and I was at Wolves and we won 3-1 and I scored. But the atmosphere was incredible. I knew from then, like the fans, the whole atmosphere, the whole Upton Park was really, like, I don't know what the way to describe it. For an away team was really intimidating, a very incredible atmosphere. And then to make my debut there was fantastic. You could just hear the crowd. The build up to the game is, you know, when you actually get to Upton Park, the coach where it pulls in and the bus, like, it is so tight to everything, and it's all you're literally touching distance to everyone, so you can feel how big a fan base it is, the whole popularity of the club, and then getting into the stadium, getting into the changing rooms, and having that walk out onto the pitch, and then, you know, that's when you start seeing all the bubbles then start flying before the game. I mean, that walk out and that really gives you, you know, the good tingles.
The Wolves have a lot of fans, and Wolves are, you know, a club that have been up and down a little bit. They're really, really good right now, as you know. But that's a big fan base, and they have an old stadium, kind of like the Boleyn used to be. What were the biggest changes for you when you went from Wolves to West Ham? What was the thing you noticed the most?
I just think I don't know whether the big thing I realised when I first signed at West Ham was everyone was a West Ham fan. They just come out of nowhere. You know, whenever you've seen, I'm a massive West Ham, you're like, wow, like the whole fan base was huge. I think that the club, you know, being a London club, it just makes a huge difference. It's such a big, you know, global market of a club. You know, you've got fans, you've got the commercial side. I think that's the biggest thing as a player. You do a lot of commercial stuff, but actually for the day-to-day thing at the club, you know, the press people, they come up to you every day to try and do stuff, because London club West Ham was so big that, you know, people always were wanting to do stuff.
Yeah. We have another question here from a fan. West Ham.
To get asked this is unbelievable.
Well, I didn't want to, but since it's brought up by somebody else, I said, why not? So, what cereal were you eating when you leaked the home kit?
Shall I tell you what happened? I've told quite a few people
please.
already. Basically, in that morning, we got a message from the press people to say, right, look, we're launching a kit. Can everyone put the shirt on and then just like pretend you're having breakfast in your shirt, and we're launching the kit. So obviously I'm the only nice guy in the club that decided to actually do it. Everyone else was like, no chance, I'm not doing it, which I didn't know. So I'm
really?
in my kit with a bowl with absolutely nothing in. There was nothing in it. Took a picture and then posted it for the press people. Get into training, and everyone's like, oh, no, I didn't do it. No, I didn't do it. No, I didn't do it. I was like, you're kidding me. So I was the only one that done it, and I got hammered for it. Absolutely hammered.
That's fantastic. That's great. I never knew that story. I love that there was nothing in the bowl. That's probably the.
No,
That is
Brilliant.
we got another question here that's actually kind of interesting. So basically, this kind of speeds up to present day.
Okay.
Basically, they want to know your opinion. So what do you think the best way is to settle the season, you know, for the Premier League? And what's your opinion on this anyway? Just as
it's a very good question, but such a difficult one.
It is.
If you've got like a time scale, that for me, like personally, you have to finish the season because you look at how much effort and that's gone in from everyone. Players, staff, fans, travelled everywhere to get this season. Up to now, there's not many games left.
Yeah.
If like for instance, I know it's different for different clubs, but like Liverpool, they've worked so hard to be where they are, and if that's just going to be void, then you never know what's going to happen next. It could just be completely wiped out, and they never get in the same position again. The teams at the bottom, unfortunately, that you've had however many games of the season, you are where you are. With the amount of games that have happened, but it's just
9 games left.
Exactly.
9.
There's still 9 games left, and
I predicted that Norwich would have a great escape, but
I mean, it's still possible.
Everybody called.
Yeah. No, you've been at Woking, Matt, this past season, right? You've played a couple of matches there.
I played 2. Yeah.
And that's National League. That's the top National League, right?
Yeah.
So that's a league above Chelmsford City, because that's the other club I watch is Chelmsford City, but they're in the National League South. So.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yeah, they're in they're a step below. But National League is done for the season.
No, not the National League.
No.
Not actually.
Oh, it's not. Oh, I thought it was. I apologize. I thought it was.
It's the one below the National League. Everything's done. Yeah. But
below. Oh, okay. Okay. So you could come through. Theoretically, you could come back then.
Yeah. Theoretically, it's just I think it's going to be very difficult. Everyone wants it to. Well, I mean, I speak for me, but I want it to be carried on because I've only just got back into playing, so I don't want it to be another season void. But I just think you probably have to get a cut off because otherwise you're knocking into next season, which is knocking into the following season. It's just going to be pushed everything back. So you're going to have probably have a cut off date when if it's not going to be able to be finished, then you have to sort of void it. But for me, I don't want that to be the case.
Yeah, we have another question here. It's kind of a fun one. So did you have a best friend at the club while you were at West Ham, and anyone you hung out with on the field, off the field, and ate cereal with?
or no cereal.
Or empty bowls just sit there at the table.
To be fair, I have to say that a lot of the lads when I first went there were brilliant to me. Like I said, Kev Nolan was a brilliant captain. You had Nobes who'd been there, his whole life. James Tompkins as well was a big player there that I got on really well with.
That is, I just have to.
He's my favorite player of all time. I'm sorry.
That is Tim's favorite player of all time. And we have a thing on the show. If somebody mentions James Tompkins, you got to take a drink. So you don't have to take a drink. Everybody in the chat room's taking a drink for James Tompkins.
I'm a defender, and I love defenders, and he was my favorite of all time. He was
regardless of football, he was a great lad as well.
Cool.
And so I mean, all of them. I had so many players there that were really good, and we used to, as a team, used to go out a fair bit together because that was the old school mentality, and that's what the manager wanted. So it was a really good group of lads.
All right, and then we got one last one here real quick. This one is kind of funny, I guess. What's the strangest thing you learned about another player while you were at West Ham? And please spare no details.
Strangest thing. Okay, it's something that I actually carried on since I was there. What about? I'm sure it was. I think it might have been Nobes, or it could have been Joey O'Brien. That in the morning for breakfast they had like toast and they had scrambled egg, and then one of them put peanut butter on the toast and had it with the scrambled egg. And I was like, that's a bit weird. And then I tried it. Beautiful, and that's what I have.
You enjoyed it? Yeah. Let's try that now.
Scrambled eggs. So try that out.
I'm gonna have to have that tomorrow morning. That's
there you go.
fantastic.
It wasn't cereal, but it was breakfast.
So in your time when you were after you played your first couple of seasons, Allardyce left West Ham. It was a weird situation in that the club had really been pretty successful coming out of the championship. A couple of mid-table finishes. Pretty much what you'd expect from West Ham. The fans kind of turned on him because of the style of football he played. Does that have any impact on the players when other than the manager leaving ultimately, but when the fans started to really get upset with him, they booed you after you beat Hull, Matt, one match I remember very well. I was watching it with Ken, who's in the chat room. How do the players react to that, or do they just keep going and not think about it?
You're supposed to, and you're trying to just forget about it and just carry on with your job, which you do to the majority of it. But yeah, you can all hear, especially at the end of the game, you can hear all the boos and they didn't boo you, they booed him. Player, yeah, for a player, it's you understand you want to be playing nice, attractive football, but sometimes you can't win games like that. You've got to just grind out results and do people would people rather be losing games and going down to the Championship playing really good football, or would they want to stay in the Premier League and picking up wins here and there? It's difficult because that was the way that Sam wanted it to play, and that was as players we have to follow what the manager wants, and that's what it was, and he was getting the results that we needed to stay in the league.
Yeah. And he's been our most successful manager of the last I don't know how many years.
Seriously,
I mean, since Harry Redknapp, basically. Yeah. I mean, along with Bilic, who had the Payet season, but so what was the feeling when he did go and Bilic came in? And I know you had an injury and you didn't get to play a lot under Bilic, but everything sort of changed, right? Because you were still there, I think, when the Olympic Stadium opened. And is that right, or was that? I think
so. Basically, Bilic came in the summer. And we were in the Europa League.
Right.
So,
and I'm thinking that was the last season. That's the last season to Berlin, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So basically, right. I didn't play as much as I wanted to the season before, so I got called in early to do the Europa League qualifying games, which I did. And then Bilic came in, so I met him and we worked all pre-season. He saw me play. We had a good chat about it all. He wanted me to stay. I played in every game to the end of August in the Premier League. It was the first 4 or 5 games. I played in the Arsenal one. I played, but I'd only played half an hour, 35 minutes, 25 minutes, 30 minutes. And he just said that I want to keep you here, but I can't guarantee you're going to play every week. And I just, after playing not that much this season before, I just felt that I wanted to play some football, and that's when I then went on loan to Norwich right at the end of that transfer window on deadline day. So I only had the first sort of couple of months with Bilic, who I actually thought was a very good manager. His training sessions were very good. So it's a shame that it didn't work, but you can see it's working for him at West Brom.
Didn't work out for James Tompkins either very well, and he ended up going to Crystal Palace, and now. So that's why it's killed me ever since. I can't.
Yeah, I have to say that we're not big fans. A lot of West Ham fans are fans of Bilic. Tim and I are not big fans of Bilic, but
no, we're not.
Yeah.
I
mean, for me, Tonks was a strange one. He should have stayed, but it is what it is.
And so should you have. And that's what we're trying to say. Well,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, so I realized that what you experienced was with West Ham was Allardyce left, another season came along and Bilic started. But you talk about. Clubs talk about, players talk about the new manager bump. What is the experience when a new manager comes in? I know you've probably experienced this at other clubs as well. What happens with the players? Is there fear you're going to lose your place? Is there excitement? What's the feeling?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both, really. Because the ones that are playing are thinking, well, is he going to still play me because I haven't? Because he's only seen me play. And the ones that haven't played or are not playing are the ones that are going to be desperately trying to impress in training because they want a fair crap of the whip. So
we just interviewed Paul Konchesky last Sunday, and he had a situation at West Ham where he had left Charlton, where Alan Kirbishley was his manager, to join West Ham, and then Alan Kirbishley came in, after Pardew got sacked, and then immediately he knew that he was dreading it. I mean, he felt just the fear that, oh man, I left him for West Ham, and now he's not going to play me. And
they had a falling out too before he left Charlton. So
exactly,
that didn't help.
There's fear there,
Yeah, difficult when that happens, but it can happen the other way as well. You get close to a manager, and they just take you from club to club. That's that hasn't happened to me, but like
Kevin Nolan,
Joey O'Brien.
But it works both ways.
What did you think about the sacking of Allardyce? And I only ask because I think at the time, a lot of people were for it. I think in retrospect, with where the club has gone since, especially after Dimitri Payet left. Yeah, I mean, right. You look at hindsight, and it's like actually, he really seemed to do a pretty good job.
Yeah, I think for West Ham fans, I think they wanted a different way of playing. I just don't think that they liked that, and they thought that West Ham deserves to play a right way of football, the right way of football, and that's enjoyment, lots of intensity, lots of goals, exciting football, and that comes with a price, because that comes with inconsistency. It comes with sometimes you can win, sometimes you can get beat like heavily. But with Sam, you knew that the way he played was always set up to get a result, or that's the way he was. And whether you liked it or you didn't, his results were pretty good.
As a player, did you hear all the links? So after he left and before Bilic came in, I mean, West Ham was heavily linked with Benitez and also Bielsa before Bilic came in. Bilic was like third or fourth choice. If they were going, did the players hear those too? Did they hear the rumors as well?
To be fair, we players, you hear all sorts of things, but for us, it doesn't matter what it is. Papers. I mean, there's so many stories about players. You just brush it off and you wait, because you'll get told at the last minute, like everyone else. You might even get a text, but a lot of the time we didn't get anything. It was just, right, the new manager's Bilic, and you're like, right, okay, and they go, right, report in tomorrow morning, and blah blah blah, and that was it. You don't get the heads up, and you don't go, oh, he's coming in, unless it's like pretty obvious, when you can sort of start. People are like, for instance, like maybe the player liaison, or the taxi company that's going to be picking him up and he's taking him to the training ground, and you hear things like that. But apart from that, we get told like everybody else.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Tim, you mind if I ask Wally's question?
I was just going to pull it up.
Yeah. So what I'm curious about, Matt, is not just what it was like to play in those places, which sound like pretty nice places to visit in the summer. Also, I mean, what is the attitude toward Europa League? West Ham are not in Europa League very often, but it's kind of the second division of European football. How serious were the players about it? How much did they? I mean, when you have to go out and play in like late July, early August, how into it can you get?
Well, for me, as I said, there was a lot of the squad that wasn't there. They had the extra time off in the summer, so it was down to the ones that didn't really play that much the season before, which was like myself, and then it was more of the young lads. And obviously for them, it was a huge opportunity to play first team football and to play in Europa League. For me, it was about showing the new manager what I can do, getting myself as fit as I possibly could, because it's an extra few weeks in front of the other players. So I wanted to show him what I could do. I wanted to play games, because I didn't play as much as I wanted the season before. So it was just a good opportunity. And I hadn't played in the Europa League, so I wanted to play in that as well.
Do you get any, when you go to Andorra or Malta or these garden spots, do you get any holiday time, or is it all business the whole time you're there?
Yeah, no, you literally, you fly in, you get the coach straight to the hotel, and you play the game, and you go straight back on the plane back to England. It's literally like that. You don't. Everyone says, like, when you do pre-season tour, when you go to all these nice places, and they go, "Oh, amazing! You went to New Zealand." I was like, "Did I?" Like, you see the hotel.
It could have been Stoke. It could have been Stoke, is what you're saying, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, you remember the hotel. You remember the flight, because that's a long flight, and then you remember it's the hotel, the training pitch, the hotel, the training pitch, and the flight home. You don't get to go out and see all these lovely things that everyone else, when they go, "Oh, you're amazing, you went to New Zealand." I was like, "Yeah, I wish I was able to go and see all the nice things that everyone else has saw." We went and we trained, and then we come home.
We have one more question before we get into the whole the finale of questions, the rapid fire ish questions. They're never usually rapid, but there's one more question from a fan here. It's actually Gaz from AHTV who he's a contributor as well from our from American Hammers TV. So anyway, all West Ham fans ever want to see is effort on the pitch, really. So you ever feel that as players, or is that ever stressed to you guys?
Well, I can only speak for myself, but I think that's, as a player, that's the first, and that's how can I say this, that's the least you can do. As a professional footballer, you have to go out and then give everything effort-wise. That's the first and only thing you should do to start with, and then after that, you need to be able to be technically good on the ball. You need to be able to have a better delivery and technically score goals. But minimum, you should be going out on the pitch and giving everything effort. So I don't think as fans you should. That should that is the minimum that every player should do. So that's correct.
But I mean, and you don't have to name names, but there are guys who don't, right? I mean, that has to happen.
Some people are different in the way that they go about things on the pitch. Some people, all their energy is for when they've got the ball or when they're doing certain things because they're technically much better at certain things. Some people maybe aren't as quick or as have got a lot of stamina, or they aren't able to do a full 90 minutes. Other people have just got different traits, but I can 99% of the time players will give everything they possibly can.
Gotcha. All right. Well, thanks for that. What we're going to do right now is we're going to get into the rapid fire questions. So thanks to everybody in the chat room who asked the question. I appreciate that. So the first one is, what's your favorite West Ham kit that you actually wore? Which one did you wear that you were just like, damn, I look good today, man?
That is a difficult one. I think I'll probably have to just go with the I don't know. I was going to say the first one, but I'm actually going to change that and go to the Adidas one, just and purely and simply because of the feel, the shape of the shirt. It fit well, whereas the other one
the stripes across the side, or the maroon with the
the first Adidas kit that we had. I can't remember exactly.
With the collar.
Just because it fit. Because on the other ones they were all a bit like baggy under the arm, a little bit wide on
the Macron ones. Yeah.
Whereas, funny enough,
I love these Macron ones.
Would you believe? Just to make them fit a little bit better. But
do you have your old shirts? Do you keep old shirts from like Wolves, West Ham?
Yeah. Some of them, yeah. So a lot of the time, you give some away, but some of them I've kept and got all the lads to sign.
Nice.
All right. Well, who is the one teammate that you love playing with the most? Like, if you saw the team sheet, you're like, dude, I enjoy playing with this person the most.
To be fair, there'd be a few. I think for me in my position, you always want to have a big man in a team, and Andy would just have that focal point for me as a wide player. And Kev was brilliant just in behind him. So them two, to be fair, were really good to play with.
Kev was always in the Pomo, wasn't he? I mean,
he was very
pretty
good.
much.
It's a skill.
Yeah,
it's a skill.
Yeah, because I mean that guy. I mean he was always in the right place at the right time when he scored his goals. And oh man, I would love to see that again. I would actually love to see him as manager for West Ham one day. That's my dream. Yeah. I mean, I think he would make a great manager.
I think so. I think you're right.
Who trained the hardest? Besides you, obviously, who trained the hardest during your time? So when you went to training, I mean, there's one dude that always.
Besides myself, obviously, I would say Nobes.
Nobes, really?
Yeah. No, I believe that. I can believe that. Yeah.
He graphed. Yeah, he was.
Yeah. Who's the laziest?
That's a different one. That all depends. It all depends whether they've been in a team, out of the team, or if they're not quite
the night before.
Ready for the game or not. You know what I mean? It's a difficult one.
Gotta ask. All right.
That's fair.
Good.
That's a good answer.
So who is the dirtiest player that you played against in your time at West Ham? So like when who would give you a nice slap in the ass or step on your heel or who was the dirtiest player you played against? No. Like when you're at your time at West Ham, who's the dirtiest player?
I have to say, it's probably a strange one, but I have to say, like, one of the toughest and sort of one that would just leave a bit on you, and he was really good, was Phil Bardsley. He was
fine.
Yeah, he's a tough tackling fullback.
Jack Collison said Lee Cattermole was the dirtiest player that he ever.
That's fair enough.
He's like, I can't tell you all the stuff that he'd do. Yeah. All right. So, who was the one West Ham player that you hated playing against at your time at any other club? So basically, when you played against West Ham, who was one guy you're like, oh crap, I don't want to be lined up against him?
That is a tough one. I don't know really, because obviously fullbacks were always the ones that I would be up against. And
Yeah.
It's
there weren't that many good ones.
That's true.
It wasn't when I was at West Ham, but Glenn Johnson was always a difficult one because he was very good going forward, and that's always a concern for a wide player having to track back. So he was tough.
Yeah,
that's a good answer. What was the best goal that you ever saw a teammate score while you were on the pitch for West
Ham? There's a few, I think. I think Kev scored a couple of overhead kicks, I think. In one of the games he scored, it was quite a crucial one. He scored an overhead kick, which was pretty impressive. His ability to do that is come out of nowhere, which is pretty impressive. But yeah, I'd probably go with something like that. I can't really remember quite. Or Jack Collison, actually. He scored a worldie of a goal. I think it was a left foot half volley. I think I was against Arsenal. Is that right?
Arsenal, yep.
That sounds right. Yeah,
that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
One of the few video clips that we were able to find before we put up he scored one against Man City, but then the one against Arsenal was just a rocket. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. So did you personally have any superstitions? I guess it's not really that much of a big thing in English football, but as it is here in American sports. But a lot of players, almost every player, has a superstition that they have to do before a match.
I used to always like coming out last, and I left my shirt to the last minute to put it on as I was going out the change rooms. No idea why, but that's just something I do.
Do you still do it?
Oh, that's cool.
Do you still do it? Yeah, still do it. Yeah.
It's awesome. What's the weirdest thing a supporter has asked you to sign or autograph? Any club, doesn't matter.
Arms, legs, other parts. Yeah.
Pocket chest.
No, I mean, so basically, they didn't, there was no voyeurs with nude photos of you saying, "Hey, can you sign this?" Where did you get this from?
I mean, yes, there was. Not quite, but they got it off the internet when I did a few charity things, and I had to sign them. So yeah, I definitely had to sign a few of them.
You were on a magazine cover, weren't you? At some point.
That's right.
Yeah.
Nice abs. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So I signed a few of them.
Yeah.
And lastly, what's your lasting impression of the club, and of the fans, and of how you were treated at your time during West Ham?
Yeah. Well, I think it's such a huge club. I think you don't realise until you sign there how big the club is. I think that's the biggest thing. I think the fans are obviously extremely passionate. You can see that. And my time there, I think I sort of had to earn my respect for when I first signed, because obviously it was a record transfer and quite a big fee. So I had to earn my way into their hearts, I suppose. And I hope that I sort of did that with my determination and willingness to effort put in and do the finished article. So hopefully they can continue to do well in the Premier League.
Hopefully.
Yes, hopefully. Yeah. We're going crazy with no football, and I bet you are just the same. But it's tough, and we can't wait to get because listen, I mean, if it were to end, we'd be safe. You know what I mean? If they were just to say cancel it or restart it or whatever, would be safe. But we can't help but feel for clubs like we were talking about earlier, like Aston Villa, who has a game in hand that if they actually win it, they're they're safe. You know what I mean? And
or Leeds or West Brom, or even if you go down if you go down to the divisions, Matt, somewhere down in the lower divisions, the Jersey Bulls won every match they played this season, and they're not going to finish. That's way so it just doesn't count, and it's really unfortunate. Yeah.
Well, we will talk to you real quick off the air, but real quick, I just want to say, thanks to everyone who tuned in on Twitch, on Periscope, on Facebook. Please head on over to YouTube and click the, subscribe button. And if you like the video, please click the like button. I really appreciate that. Thanks to everyone who jumped into the live chat. I really appreciate that. You came up with some really good questions today. I'd like to thank Lee, my co-host, and obviously you, Matt, for giving us the time. I really, really appreciate this.
This was fantastic. Thank you.
All right, so we're going to end this broadcast, and I'll talk to you off the air real quick.
Come on, you.